Henry Lee had spent a lifetime building an empire. His wealth was his legacy, his fortress, until she arrived. Alexandra Lexi Thompson was young, beautiful, and dangerously persuasive. She wrapped herself around Henry's life like a snake, whispering promises of love while slowly squeezing the life out of him. By the time anyone realized what was happening, Henry was a prisoner in his own home, drugged, confused, and powerless. His granddaughter, Sophia, knew something wasn't right. The man who had once been sharp and commanding was now frail and forgetful. His accounts drained, his will rewritten. Every attempt to get through to him was met with Lexi's perfectly crafted lies. She had everyone convinced. Everyone, except one man, Keanu Reeves. He wasn't just a Hollywood icon. He was an old friend of Henry's family. And when Sophia turned to him for help, he didn't hesitate. He had seen deception before, played heroes on screen, but this time it was real. And he was ready for a fight. The question was he too late? Can Keanu expose Lexi before she takes everything? Before we begin, let us know where you are watching from. And if you believe in fighting for the helpless and showing kindness to humanity, be sure to like and subscribe for more. Let us begin.
Lexi Thompson is a striking young woman in her late 20s, possessing a beauty that often turns heads wherever she goes. On the outside, she appears to have everything: charm, a killer smile, and a magnetic presence that draws people in. But beneath her polished exterior, Lexi's life is a far cry from the fairy tales she longs for. She is trapped in a cycle of financial struggle, living paycheck to paycheck and constantly worrying about her future. The weight of her mounting bills and debts hangs over her, pushing her further into despair. For Lexi, it's not just about surviving anymore, it's about escaping the never-ending grind of financial insecurity. She dreams of a life where money is no longer a concern, where she can have the luxuries she's always admired from afar: a mansion, designer clothes, expensive vacations, and a life of ease. But the question remains: how far is she willing to go to secure that life? How much is she willing to sacrifice to leave behind the worries that haunt her every day? Could you relate to Lexi's desperation? Have you ever found yourself dreaming of a better life, wondering if there's a way out of your current situation? What would you do if the chance to change everything came knocking? In a world where online dating is the norm, Lexi finds herself swiping through profiles one evening, not expecting much. She's just looking for someone who can provide a distraction from the stress of her daily life. That's when she comes across Henry Lee, a man in his 70s, wealthy and well-established but clearly lonely. His profile stands out to her. Something about his smile, his sophisticated charm, and his gentle demeanor piques her interest. Lexi doesn't think much of it at first, but something about Henry feels different from the others she's encountered. Henry, on the other hand, is captivated by Lexi's youthful energy and undeniable beauty. In his later years, he has spent more time with his wealth than with people, and the loneliness has taken its toll. When Lexi messages him, his heart flutters with the excitement of someone who has been waiting for love, but who has almost given up on finding it. What Lexi doesn't know is that Henry's loneliness has made him vulnerable, more susceptible to the charm of someone who appears to be everything he's been craving. Have you ever felt lonely, even when surrounded by wealth or success? Does loneliness cloud our judgment when it comes to matters of the heart? Before Lexi knows it, their online chats turn into late-night phone calls. Their conversations are easy, filled with laughter, stories, and a connection that feels genuine. Henry's wealth is evident in the way he talks about his life, the trips, the luxuries, the experiences most people can only dream of. Lexi is fascinated, and as their bond grows, so does her fascination with the life he leads. She starts to imagine the possibilities, not just of a romance, but of what her life could look like by his side. Henry, too, begins to feel an emotional attachment to Lexi. He can't help but be enamored by her. Her attention, her compliments, and the way she makes him feel young again awaken something in him he thought was long gone. It isn't long before Henry starts to think that Lexi might be the one, the woman he's waited for all these years, since the death of his late wife. His friends and family, however, are less certain. They voice their concerns, telling him that Lexi may not have pure intentions. They warn him about the dangers of rushing into a marriage with someone so much younger, someone who could be after his money. But Henry refuses to listen. He's in love, or so he thinks, and for the first time in years, he's experiencing what it's like to feel desired and important. He brushes off their warnings, believing that their concerns are simply the fears of people who don't understand how deeply he feels for Lexi. Weeks later, the whirlwind romance soon leads to a proposal. Lexi, with her persuasive charm, convinces Henry that marriage is the next logical step. To Lexi, it feels like a dream come true. She will have everything she's ever wanted. For Henry, it's the culmination of his romantic hopes, and he goes along with it, eager to make his love for Lexi official. They have a small, intimate wedding, nothing too flashy, just a quiet ceremony surrounded by a few close friends. But even at the wedding, there's a sense of unease in the air. Henry's family looks on, wary of Lexi's true intentions, but Henry is too caught up in the moment to notice. The guests whisper behind Henry's back, questioning whether Lexi is truly in love with him, or if she's simply after his fortune. But as the vows are exchanged, Lexi smiles, knowing that this is her moment. She's about to get everything she's ever dreamed of. Do we sometimes ignore the signs of warning in our pursuit of happiness? At first, life as Mrs. Lexi Lee seems perfect. She has everything she ever wanted: wealth, luxury, and security. No more worrying about rent or bills. She enjoys the lavish lifestyle Henry provides, from shopping sprees to extravagant vacations. To the outside world, she is the devoted young wife of a wealthy businessman. But behind closed doors, a different story unfolds. Henry, though happy to have found love again, starts noticing subtle changes in Lexi's behavior. She becomes controlling, making decisions on his behalf without consulting him. She starts managing his daily schedule, ensuring that every aspect of his life is under her watchful eye. At first, Henry brushes it off as Lexi simply being a caring wife. But is love supposed to feel like control? When does care turn into manipulation? Lexi soon realizes that Henry's wealth is within her reach, but not fully in her control. There are still legal boundaries, financial advisors, and family members watching over Henry's estate. And so she comes up with a plan, one that will ensure she has full access to everything he owns. It starts with small, seemingly harmless things. She offers to take care of Henry's medications, making sure he never forgets a dose. She starts preparing all his meals, convincing him that she only wants the best for his health. She gradually isolates him from friends and family, subtly planting doubts in his mind about those who question her intentions. And then, the real manipulation begins. Every night, Henry starts feeling more tired than usual. His thoughts become cloudy, his memory hazy. He forgets small things at first: a conversation he had the day before, a business decision he made. Then, the forgetfulness worsens. He struggles to recall dates, people's names, even parts of his daily routine. Lexi plays the role of the concerned wife, gently reminding him of things as if she's simply helping. But the truth is far darker than Henry realizes. Lexi has been drugging his food and drinks, slowly deteriorating his ability to think clearly. She starts making financial decisions for him, convincing his doctors that he may be developing dementia. When Henry visits the doctor, Lexi subtly guides the conversation, emphasizing his forgetfulness, his confusion. The doctors, seeing an elderly man struggling to recall details, begin to believe her. The diagnosis comes quickly: early signs of dementia. From that moment on, Henry's fate is sealed. With his health officially in question, Lexi moves in to take full control. She gains access to his accounts, signs legal documents in his name, and convinces his caretakers that she is the only one who truly understands his needs. Henry, once a strong and independent businessman, is reduced to a shadow of himself, completely at the mercy of the woman he thought loved him. Do you think people can be manipulated into believing they're sick when they're not? Have you ever wondered how much influence one person can have over another's mind? With Henry's health declining, Lexi's greed knows no bounds. She starts siphoning money from his accounts, transferring large sums to her own private holdings. She sells off assets, claiming that it's for Henry's future care. She throws lavish parties, disguising them as charity events but pocketing most of the donations. Meanwhile, Henry sits in his grand estate, confused and helpless, unable to fight back against the woman who has completely taken over his life. But every villain makes a mistake. And Lexi is no exception. The cracks in her story are starting to show, and someone is watching her closely. As Lexi enjoys her newfound wealth, indulging in extravagant shopping sprees and socializing with the rich and famous, Henry's condition worsens. His once sharp mind has become foggy, his vibrant personality dulled by confusion and exhaustion. To those around him, he appears to be slipping further into dementia. But not everyone is convinced. Sophia, Henry's granddaughter, has always known him to be a strong and intelligent man. She finds it difficult to believe that his health has deteriorated so rapidly in such a short period. The last time she visited, Henry was still full of life, cracking jokes and reminiscing about his younger days. But now, he barely remembers conversations from just hours before. Something isn't right. Determined to uncover the truth, Sophia starts digging. She questions Henry's staff, looking for any signs that might explain his sudden decline. She notices discrepancies, strange changes in his medication, unusual transactions in his financial records, and the way Lexi always seems to be one step ahead of everyone, controlling every aspect of Henry's life. But how do you prove that someone is being manipulated when the victim doesn't even realize it? How do you expose a liar who has built an intricate web of deception? Sophia knows she can't do this alone. She needs someone with influence, someone who can help her uncover the truth without tipping Lexi off. That's when she turns to a family friend, Keanu Reeves. Keanu has always been close to her family, known not just as a Hollywood star but as a genuine, kind-hearted man. Sophia confides in him, explaining her suspicions about Lexi. She tells him about Henry's rapid decline, the strange financial activity, and the way Lexi has isolated him from everyone who truly cares about him. Keanu listens carefully, his expression serious. He's heard stories of manipulation before, but this feels different. It feels calculated. He agrees to help Sophia, using his connections to gather more information on Lexi's past. As Keanu investigates, disturbing details emerge. Lexi has a history of manipulating older, wealthy men. She's changed her identity multiple times, moving from city to city, leaving behind a trail of deceit. There are whispers of previous marriages that ended mysteriously, bank accounts drained before she vanished into thin air. Keanu and Sophia work together, collecting evidence piece by piece. They go through financial records, security footage, and even medical reports. They interview former acquaintances of Lexi, each story more unsettling than the last. Everything points to the same conclusion: Lexi has been orchestrating Henry's downfall for her own gain. But how do you stop someone who is already so deeply embedded in the victim's life? How do you confront someone who is a master at twisting the truth? Armed with undeniable proof, Keanu and Sophia make their move. They arrive at Henry's estate, determined to expose Lexi once and for all. When Lexi sees them, she puts on her usual sweet smile, pretending to be the devoted wife. But this time, she can't hide behind her lies. Keanu presents the evidence: bank statements, recorded conversations, even testimonies from doctors who were misled into believing Henry was truly ill. Lexi tries to deny it, tries to manipulate the situation like she always does, but the walls are closing in. Henry, though still confused, watches as the truth unfolds before him. The woman he trusted, the woman he thought loved him, has been deceiving him from the very beginning. The realization is heartbreaking, but it also ignites a spark of the man he used to be. And just like that, Lexi's perfect world crumbles. The police are called, and the once charming young wife is arrested for elder abuse, fraud, and financial exploitation. But is justice truly served? Can a person like Lexi ever feel remorse for what they've done? Or is she already thinking of her next move, her next victim? With Lexi finally exposed, Henry is free from her control. Though he has suffered greatly, he begins his journey toward healing, surrounded by people who genuinely care about him. Sophia, relieved and grateful, thanks Keanu for his help, knowing that without him, she might not have been able to save her grandfather. Keanu, ever humble, downplays his role, insisting that it was Sophia's love for her grandfather that truly saved him. But to everyone who witnessed the ordeal, he is a hero. Not the kind from action movies, but a real-life hero who used his influence to protect someone in need. With Lexi finally out of the picture, Henry is left to pick up the pieces of his shattered life. The betrayal runs deep, not just financially, but emotionally. He had truly believed that Lexi loved him, that she saw him as more than just a bank account. Now, he is forced to confront the painful truth: he was nothing more than a means to an end for her. Do you know there are still people like Lexi out there, who take advantage of the elderly and manipulate them? Meanwhile, Henry's recovery process is slow. Even though the drugs are out of his system, the mental and emotional scars remain. He struggles with feelings of humiliation, anger, and self-doubt. How could he have been so blind? How did he let someone like Lexi take over his life so completely? These are the questions that haunt him, keeping him awake at night. Henry's story may have ended with justice, but for many others, the fight continues. How many elderly individuals right now are being manipulated, just as Henry was? How many are being drained of their life savings, left confused and isolated, without anyone to fight for them?